What up? We're nearing the end of week 1 of Vaal League, and the Vaal Temple is a pretty controversial league mechanic, maybe the most controversial in recent memory. It has some real positives, there's a ton of great world building, the art and aesthetics are really awesome, some thought has definitely gone into this, but also it's not rewarding. Compared to straight up T15 map blasting, it feels like a waste of time. That's not great. So we were going to break down everything we thought was wrong with the temple and propose some fixes, talk about how it went from feeling awesome during the campaign and day 1 when you're dead broke, to never feeling any better than that even as you climb all the way up to tier 15s. But GGG just dropped their big what we're working on post, so let's just focus on that instead. Not to act like a bunch of smarty pants after the fact, but one of the big fixes that GGG has planned for the mechanic is something we were going to suggest, so we are actually feeling pretty happy about the news. Also, before we jump into it, help us out with that YouTube busy work, like, subscribe, and hype this video if you're on mobile. These all tell YouTube to show our content to more people, which helps us keep doing this. Okay, just to start. We did like the mechanic in the campaign, and even day 1 of the league, like we said. It was really good then. It unfortunately just never got any better. A single rare tier 15 monster shouldn't be more rewarding than an entire 15-room temple, right? So this is GGG's improvements to Fate of the Vaal League post here, and there's actually a lot going on here. The main thing that they're saying is the same thing the whole community is saying. The rewards for the temple aren't high enough, particularly in the end game. They just don't scale up enough to make temples worth doing currently. Look, we're glad to hear them say it, because that means we don't have to. In order to address that, we're making a bunch of changes, the first of which is buffing the mods that add rooms to the temple, and they're doubling the values on existing modifiers added to the temple at all room tiers. So these are the things like pack size, rarity of drops, things like that, which actually already scaled up quite a bit. There just simply aren't enough monsters in the temple to really take advantage of that, and this is going to be improved by all the rest of the changes that are happening, which is basically all of the reward rooms that you get for picking up medallions and then being able to add a room to the temple through that mechanic, such as the Spy Master, Golem Works, and Thaumaturge. All of those are going to add extra bonuses to other room types, and that's going to come in the form of more monsters, higher value monsters, and hopefully higher tier rooms. And then they're also adding big monsters into every tier 3 room, so a bunch more stuff to fight, and that's great. All of these monsters that are being added into the temple are the unique monsters that we would sometimes fight in the outside version of the temple, where you just randomly run into a boss fight that's really, really dangerous and kind of tough. They're now going to be in the temple as well. They're also smacking an extra 25% rarity onto the temple anytime you have a treasure vault room attached to it, so that's just another buff on top of all the rest of the buffs that are being added. They're also making a change to the crafting bench mechanic that's in the temple, and has been from the very start, which is that once you've gotten past Act 3, you are able to take those Exalt and Alchemy and, I guess, Vaal benches and just turn them directly into raw currency, so this is going to make it a little bit more rewarding. Not a ton, though. We're looking at like 3 to 5 Exalts per temple, so nothing huge. But that's kind of the issue, right? Right now, blasting tier 15s pretty easily. You step into a temple, you can clear the rooms out in like literally 3 seconds. So it needs to just be more difficult in addition to being proportionally more rewarding. And that's where the next bonus is coming in here. They're adding in a medallion that's going to last for 10 temple runs, so presumably you'll be able to stack this up 10 times, assuming you're able to get it in all of the temple runs, which we'll see about that. And it'll make the temple more difficult and rewarding. Nice and vague, but that sounds pretty good, especially in conjunction with all of the other bonuses that they're adding, the tier 3 room bonuses, the uniques from that, doubling the rarity and pack size that comes from all the different rooms. Another big complaint that we've had is the inability to have any kind of control over the 6 tiles that you get when you go to set up a new temple. You just have no control over them. They could be anything. They could be all paths when you don't need paths, and no paths when all you need is paths, right? Isn't it ironic? So, they are adding in a medallion that'll allow you to reroll rooms, and that's really useful. You can set some of the rooms that you want to run, reroll all the ones that you don't, and that's going to make that medallion system a lot more interesting than it is currently, where it basically is just a handful of very simple and not particularly rewarding rooms. Another big complaint that people have had is the Architect. The boss fight is fine, good even, but the issue of losing a bunch of rooms, like most of the rooms in the temple when you kill the Architect, is a real problem. It kind of sets you back to square one, and unless you are desiring a fresh restart on the temple, it just feels like you lose all of the progress that you've made over the last, realistically, like 60 maps setting up to do the architect, and that's not great for anybody. So they're going to cut the number of rooms that you removed by 50%, which is going to have a pretty huge impact on making subsequent runs more valuable, especially with some of these other cascading things, like that extra random waystone modifier medallion and the general doubling of values of modifiers on the temple in the first place. So this is like a triple tap of buffs that are happening here. Then they're rolling out the big change, the one that we really wanted to see, but before they even put this post out, but the thing that we had written down that we were hoping to see was not having to actually have paths next to the architect and all of the architect reward rooms in order to connect to them. And thankfully that's exactly what they're doing here. They're allowing reward rooms placed from the architect's console to connect to any other adjacent room rather than only paths. This is really the biggest issue with the temple. More so than the lack of rewards, maybe not, but in terms of just the design, the requirement of having paths to get to all of the different architect reward rooms, the teleport to Edziri, the architect himself, all of that is a real issue. And being able to just use reward rooms as paths really fixes a lot of the problem. Now, GGG isn't done there. They're also rolling out some fixes to some of the reward rooms that come from the architect, such as the unique vault, giving a bunch of like one chance shard uniques. That should hopefully not happen anymore, and the tablet vault is not going to nuke your tablets, which is great. Just a better chance of getting 6 mod tablets. That sounds a lot better. And then the extraction chamber is actually getting nerfed a little bit, but that's okay. Then they're making a change to the in-world encounters in the form of making them all have a chest rise up out of the center of the platform when you finish the encounter and like drop items. This will be a magic chest, as it says in the campaign, but in the end game it can be magic or rare, so this is going to be a significant increase to the amount of stuff that you get out of doing what were already pretty time efficient and decently rewarding events, the killing guys on the pedestal. Now it's going to be significantly more rewarding, so that's really the way to fix any sort of problem in PoE, right? If people don't like a mechanic, maybe they're not liking the way it works, so they're finding it a little too fiddly or whatever, just throw a bunch of orbs at players and suddenly they're going to love it. And now for the good news, this is rolling out tomorrow, so this is not something that we're going to have to wait until Christmas or the first of the year or anything. They're just rolling this out straight away. We're going to get it on Thursday in the US, some other day around different parts of the world, but anyways, yeah. Now there is still some stuff we would like to see change. This all looks really good. This is a really good first pass on the mechanic, and honestly the game, other than this mechanic, has felt really great. Abyss is really good, the Delirium rework is feeling pretty good, other League mechanics all feel the same as they have, which is pretty good. So this is really fixing the biggest, most glaring issue as quickly as possible. But as they say, they are going to make more improvements to Fate of the Vaal, and we'd like to make one recommendation. The biggest change we'd still like to see is the ability to connect paths to reward rooms. Right now you can only connect reward rooms to paths, not the other way around. This allows players to box themselves in, effectively bricking their temple until they despawn enough rooms to get out. Just let us put paths on the other side of reward rooms, right? Or alternate idea, no more paths at all. Hallways are dumb anyways, just let all the reward rooms connect to each other, make them all be paths that also have rewards in them. No paths needed. Ultimately, this is the feedback we're going to give to GGG. But yeah, that is what GGG has planned for the temple. There are a lot of positive aspects of the temple, so we're hoping that this is going to fix everything that everybody's really had big complaints with. Hopefully, despite a bit of a rocky start, it winds up coming out pretty good. Okay, question time. It's the end of the year, everybody's got their holiday decorations up, so what's your favorite holiday decoration? Ours is Christmas lights. Pretty basic, but basic things can still be good. Let us know in the comments section. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hype this video if you enjoyed it. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us and help us make more PoE content, consider becoming a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.